The galaxy was alive with thousands of voices, but there was one place that stayed silent. Human space was a wide stretch of stars, planets, and stations that no alien dared to cross. No one spoke openly about why. Traders would stop at the border, fleets would turn back, and whispers would spread in dark corners of space stations. The silence around humanity was heavier than war, and yet no one explained it. Far away, in a dimly lit bar on a neutral station, two alien captains sat facing each other. Their eyes moved around nervously, as if even talking about humans was dangerous. One of them leaned forward and whispered, "Do you know why no one goes into their territory?" The other shook his head, lowering his voice. "Because those who went never returned. And those who returned were not the same." No one could confirm these stories, but the fear was real. The humans had come late to the galactic stage. They were not the oldest race, not the strongest, not even the most advanced. At first, the elder species had thought them weak. Yet something had happened, something that changed everything. The records were missing, erased, or locked away by councils that claimed they were protecting peace. But the silence only made the mystery deeper. Out in the dark void, a human battleship moved quietly. Its hull was scarred from old battles, yet it traveled with the calm of a predator that knew no fear. The crew inside were focused, disciplined, and strangely quiet. Their captain, a tall man with tired eyes, stared at the stars. He remembered the war. He remembered what happened when aliens last dared to test humanity. He never spoke of it, but the memories lived inside him like fire. Back on the neutral station, rumors grew stronger. Merchants told stories of human colonies that had risen from nothing, turning barren worlds into thriving cities in less than a decade. Soldiers whispered about battles where human fleets had fought against impossible odds and still stood victorious. But there was one story that frightened everyone most of all, the story of what humans did when they were pushed too far. The first time an alien empire invaded human space, they believed it would be easy. The invaders had ships bigger than cities, weapons that could split moons, and armies bred for war. Humanity was young then, scattered and poorly armed. The galaxy thought the war would last weeks. But it lasted years. Long, bloody years that left scars on stars themselves. When the war ended, the invaders were gone. Entire fleets vanished, whole planets emptied, and no one could explain how. Some said humans fought with a rage no one had seen before. Others whispered that they had unlocked something inside themselves, something terrifying. The truth was buried, but the fear remained. On a distant observation post, an alien researcher sat alone, studying human history. His people had warned him to stay away from the subject, but curiosity burned in him stronger than fear. Why? He asked himself. Why is everyone so afraid? He replayed old battle records, the ones that had survived. He watched human soldiers fighting with broken weapons, refusing to surrender. He saw them standing in fire, pushing forward when every other race would have run. The researcher's hands trembled as he whispered, "They don't fight like others. They fight like they cannot lose." As he dug deeper, he found fragments of something darker. Whole archives had been deleted, but shadows of data remained. Records of planets wiped clean, not by alien weapons, but by human hands. The files stopped there, broken and redacted, but the message was clear. Humans were not only survivors. They were something else. Something the galaxy had never faced before. And so the fear grew. Ships that wandered too close to human borders vanished without a trace. Scouts that tried to sneak inside never returned. When questioned, humans only smiled politely and said nothing. That silence was worse than threats. It meant humans knew something others did not. The alien researcher sat back, breathing heavily, his eyes wide with dread. He began to understand why no one dared cross into human space. It was not just because of human strength. It was because of human will. The will that had turned them from prey into predators. The will that had broken empires. The will that had made the stars themselves seem smaller. Far away, on Earth, children played under the bright sun, laughing, unaware of the legends being told about their people. To them, humanity was only living, exploring, dreaming. But beyond their skies, in the cold darkness, the galaxy remembered. And the galaxy watched. No one dared cross into human space. Not until they learned the truth. And the truth was still waiting, hidden in the silence, heavy as a storm before it breaks. The border of human space was quiet, too quiet. Alien fleets often stopped there, staring into the black void where human patrols were said to move like shadows. No one ever saw them clearly, yet every captain who crossed too far never came back. That silence had become a warning stronger than any weapon. But still, there were always the curious ones. On the edge of the border, a small alien scout ship drifted forward. Its captain, a young explorer, had heard the stories since childhood. He had been told of human wars, human rage, and human mysteries. But he did not believe them. "They are only flesh and bone like us," he whispered to himself, staring at the dark. "How can they frighten the entire galaxy?" He pushed his ship forward. His crew was nervous, their voices shaky. "Captain," one of them said, "this is dangerous." "If the stories are true," the captain cut him off. "Stories are lies told by those who lost. I want to see for myself." The moment they crossed the invisible line, the stars seemed to grow colder. Their ship's sensors flickered, picking up strange signals. A sound, low and deep, echoed through the comms. It was not words, not a language, but something that felt alive. The crew shivered, their scales and fur standing on end. "What is that?" they whispered. The captain forced a smile. "Only interference." But inside, his heart was pounding. Far away, a human battleship noticed them. Silent alarms blinked on the screens. The crew moved with calm precision. No one shouted, no one panicked. They had done this before. Their captain, a woman with sharp eyes, gave a single order: "Intercept." The scout ship did not see the humans coming. One moment the void was empty, the next moment a massive shape appeared in front of them. Black metal, scarred by war, glowing faintly with power. The alien crew froze. They had never seen a human ship up close before. It was smaller than the great fleets of the galaxy, but something about it felt heavier, stronger, as if the ship itself was alive. A voice filled their comms. Calm, cold, human. "You are trespassing." The alien captain swallowed hard. "We come in peace. We only wish to see." The human voice was quiet for a long moment. Then it answered, "You have seen enough." The scout ship tried to turn back, but the human vessel did not move aside. Its weapons were not glowing, its missiles were not armed, but the silence was worse than threat. The alien crew felt like prey under the eyes of a predator. The human captain gave them a chance. "Leave now. Do not return." The alien captain hesitated. His pride burned. If he turned back now, he would look weak to his people. But as he looked into the dark hull of the human ship, he felt something deeper than fear. He felt the weight of history pressing on him. He realized the stories were not lies. "Retreat," he whispered to his crew. His voice shook. The scout ship turned and fled. The humans did not follow. They only watched, silent and still, until the aliens vanished from sight. Then the human ship turned back into the void, disappearing as if it had never been there. Back on the neutral station, the young explorer told no one what he had seen. His crew swore oaths of silence. Not because the humans had ordered them, but because they knew no one would believe. And even if they did, no one would dare test it. But the galaxy kept asking the same question: what happened in the war that made humans so feared? The truth was not written in records. The councils of old races hid it, deleting archives, burning evidence, locking secrets away in vaults. But secrets never stay buried forever. In a forgotten archive, deep under a ruined world, an old recording waited. Dust covered the machines, but the data still lived. It showed the final days of the first war with humanity. Armies of aliens marching on human colonies. Cities burning. Children screaming. And then, it showed the change. The humans did not surrender. They did not run. They became something else. Something the galaxy had never seen before. They fought without end, without mercy, without fear of death. They broke their enemies not only with weapons, but with sheer will. Entire alien fleets collapsed under the pressure, unable to face soldiers who refused to die quietly. The last frame of the recording showed a human soldier standing on a battlefield of ash, his body broken, his armor shattered, but his eyes still burning with fire. His voice, weak but unbroken, whispered words that froze even the machines that recorded them. "We do not yield." And then the screen went black. That was the truth. That was the reason no alien dared cross into human space. Not because of weapons. Not because of ships. But because when pushed to the edge, humanity became unstoppable. And the galaxy feared what might happen if they were ever pushed again. The old recording had spread like fire in hidden circles. Not on the official networks, not in the councils, but in whispers between smugglers, mercenaries, and shadow markets. Those who saw it never forgot it. The image of a broken human soldier still standing, still refusing to yield, haunted their dreams. On a distant mining world, far from the center of power, a group of alien workers huddled together, speaking in low voices. "I heard the story again," one of them whispered. "About the humans." The others leaned closer. "What story?" "That they cannot be broken. That even when they are dying, they rise again. That is why no empire attacks them anymore." The group grew silent. Even speaking of humans carried weight, as if the word itself summoned them. Meanwhile, in the shadows of a great alien council chamber, leaders argued. Their worlds had grown restless. Trade routes around human borders were shrinking. Fear was good for control, but too much fear brought chaos. One elder slammed the table with his clawed hand. "This cannot continue. We are the oldest of races. We cannot live in terror of one young species." Another voice, deep and calm, answered. "Would you rather test them again?" The chamber grew cold. No one spoke for several moments. The silence itself was the answer. Far away, on a human colony world, life continued as if nothing was wrong. Children played under blue skies, markets buzzed with voices, ships came and went in orbit. To outsiders, it looked peaceful, ordinary. But beneath that peace was steel. Every colonist had training. Every settlement had hidden defenses. Every starport could turn into a fortress in hours. It was not by chance. Humanity had learned in the war that peace without strength was only a dream. And they would never be weak again. In deep space, an alien mercenary ship drifted close to human borders. Its crew had been paid well to test the line, to see if the stories were true. They laughed, drinking strong liquid, mocking the fear of others. Humans. Ha! They bleed like all flesh. They hide behind stories because they are afraid. But as they pushed further, the laughter stopped. Their sensors picked up something. Not a ship. Not a signal. Something else. At first it looked like shadows moving in the stars. Then the shadows grew teeth. Dozens of human ships emerged from the void, silent, precise, their hulls black as night. No warnings. No threats. Only presence. The mercenaries panicked. Weapons were armed, shields raised, but it did not matter. The humans had already surrounded them. A voice crackled through the comms. Calm. Sharp. Human. You have crossed into forbidden space. You will not return. The mercenary captain snarled. We are not afraid of you. He fired his weapons. Brilliant beams of energy flashed through the void. They hit the nearest human ship, and vanished against its shields like rain on stone. Then the humans answered. One shot. Just one. Their cannons fired, and the mercenary ship shook like it had been hit by a god's hammer. Systems died. Lights flickered. The crew screamed. Mercy! the captain shouted. "Please, mercy." But the human voice did not change. "You were warned." The mercenary ship went dark. No one knew if the humans destroyed it, or simply erased its power and left it drifting forever. All that mattered was that the crew never returned. News of the disappearance spread fast. The story grew larger with every telling. Some said the mercenaries had been torn apart, others claimed they had been taken alive, their minds broken. No one knew the truth. And the mystery only fed the fear. In the councils, voices trembled now. Even the strongest empires spoke of humans with caution. "They do not fight like us," one elder said. "They fight as if every battle is their last." Another added, "No, worse. They fight as if losing is not possible." On the border, in the silence of deep space, human ships waited. They never boasted. They never threatened. They never explained. That silence was their greatest weapon. Back on Earth, in the halls of Old Command, veterans of the First War gathered in secret. Their hair was gray, their faces scarred, but their eyes still burned. They remembered what the galaxy had forgotten. They remembered why the aliens feared. One of them stood, voice heavy. "The others still wonder why no one dares enter our space. They think it is because of weapons. Because of ships. Because of power." He paused, his eyes hard as steel. "But they are wrong. It is not our machines they fear. It is us." The room fell silent. Outside, the stars burned, cold and endless. Somewhere beyond them, the galaxy whispered in fear. And still, the truth waited. A truth so heavy that when it was revealed, the galaxy itself would tremble. The galaxy always spoke of the First War in half-truths. Records were burned. Testimonies were erased. The councils had agreed never to speak of it openly. But memory could not be destroyed so easily. Somewhere, in dark archives and old mines, the truth remained. On a hidden station far from the core, an alien historian searched for answers. His people had forbidden him from touching the subject, but he could not stop. Fear alone was not enough for him. He wanted to know what made humans different. Why did the strongest empires bow to silence when speaking of them? After years of searching, he found it, a broken file hidden inside a forgotten military system. Corrupted, incomplete, but alive. With shaking hands, he played it. At first, it showed chaos. Human colonies burning. Alien fleets dropping fire across the skies. Soldiers of many species marching through streets, weapons raised. The humans were losing, that much was clear. Their technology was weaker, their fleets smaller, their defenses collapsing. But then the recording shifted. The image showed a battlefield of ruins. Smoke choked the air. Human soldiers moved through the wreckage. They were injured, starving, their armor cracked, their weapons broken. Yet their eyes were alive. Burning. They did not retreat. They did not surrender. They advanced. The aliens fought with numbers and machines. The humans fought with something else. Something raw. They used the ruins themselves as weapons. They set traps, turned rubble into fire, even sacrificed themselves to bring enemy giants down. The historian leaned forward, trembling. He had seen many wars in archives, but never this. This was not survival. This was transformation. The recording showed more. Entire alien fleets being hunted down by smaller human forces. Not with superior weapons, but with relentless will. The humans learned the enemy's patterns, studied their minds, adapted faster than any computer. They turned fear into strength, pain into fuel. And then came the moment that explained everything. The screen showed a human commander standing before his troops. His voice was hoarse, his body broken, but his words cut like steel. "They think they can erase us. They think we will kneel. But we are not fighting for victory. We are fighting because we refuse to stop. And as long as one of us breathes, we will burn their empires to ash." The historian's hands shook. He stopped the recording, but the words echoed in his skull. That was the truth. Humans did not fight for glory, or power, or even survival. They fought because surrender was impossible for them. No empire could match that. The historian closed the file, breathing hard. Now he understood why the galaxy was silent. Why ships turned back. Why even the proudest empires whispered at the mention of humans. It was not only fear of death. It was fear of what humans awakened in themselves when pushed too far. Meanwhile, on a human warship patrolling the border, the crew worked in silence. Young officers checked systems, veterans stood watch, and the captain stared into the dark void ahead. They all knew the truth, though none of them spoke it aloud. The galaxy thought humanity was dangerous now, but they had not yet seen what humans were truly capable of. The captain closed his eyes, remembering the First War. He remembered walking through fields of fire, seeing comrades fall, and yet feeling something inside him grow stronger, not weaker. He remembered the silence of the enemy when they realized humans would not stop. "Let them stay afraid," he murmured. "Fear keeps them away." Back in the alien councils, tension grew. Whispers of the lost recording had spread. Some leaders demanded war, others demanded peace, but most sat in silence, trapped by the weight of their own fear. One elder finally spoke, his voice hollow. "We must never attack them again. If we do, we will wake the fire. And when humans burn, they do not stop until nothing remains." The chamber fell silent. The words were heavy, and no one argued. Outside, across the galaxy, the stars kept burning. Children on Earth laughed, explorers dreamed, settlers built new homes. They did not see themselves as monsters. They only lived, loved, and dreamed like any people. But the galaxy remembered something else. It remembered the fire. And in the quiet void, beyond human borders, old powers whispered and planned. Because fear, no matter how deep, always tempted someone to test it. The silence would not last forever. And when it broke, the galaxy would finally learn why no alien dared cross into human space. The galaxy had been quiet for decades. Too quiet. The borders of human space stayed untouched, the silence heavy, like a warning carved into the stars. Most obeyed it. Most feared it. But not all. Far away, in the halls of a young and ambitious empire, a ruler slammed his fist on the throne. His voice thundered through the chamber. "We are stronger than those who came before us. We are not cowards. If humanity is only flesh, then flesh can bleed. Flesh can break. Flesh can die." His advisors shifted uneasily. They knew the stories, the whispers of old wars. But ambition blinded their leader. He wanted glory, expansion, and the legend of being the first to break human silence. And so, fleets were built. Great ships armed with weapons that split moons and shields that could withstand suns. Millions of soldiers were trained. The empire prepared to march into human space. When word spread, the galaxy trembled. Merchants stopped trading. Neutral stations grew quiet. Even the oldest empires, who once ruled the stars, turned their eyes away. None dared to warn the new empire. None dared to speak against them. They only whispered in the dark, "They do not know what waits for them." At the edge of human space, the new empire's fleet arrived. Thousands of ships, shining like blades in the void. Their commander, a proud warrior, stood tall on his flagship's bridge. He sneered at the stars before him. "Where are the humans now? Do they hide like cowards? Do they fear us?" But the stars gave no answer. The fleet advanced, crossing the invisible line no one dared cross for centuries. At first, nothing happened. No alarms. No resistance. Only silence. The alien commander laughed. "So it is true. Humans are weak. Their legends are lies." Then, the silence broke. One by one, human ships appeared from the shadows. Not thousands, not even hundreds, only a handful. Black hulls scarred by old battles, glowing faintly with quiet power. They did not rush forward. They did not fire. They only watched. The alien commander laughed louder. Is this all they send? A few broken ships against an empire? Fire! Beams of light and storms of missiles filled the void, rushing toward the human fleet. The stars themselves seemed to tremble. And yet, when the fire cleared, the human ships still stood. Silent. Unbroken. Then came the reply. Not a shout. Not a roar. A single voice filled the comms, calm and sharp. Human. You should not have come. The alien commander sneered. We are not afraid of you. The human voice did not change. You will be. And then the humans moved. The small fleet of human ships cut through thousands like blades through paper. Their weapons were not louder, not brighter, but precise, merciless. Every shot struck true. Every maneuver was perfect. The alien empire had come with overwhelming numbers, but numbers meant nothing. Against humans, chaos was their enemy. The aliens fired desperately, but their fleet crumbled. Ships vanished into fire. Formations broke apart. Fear spread faster than orders. The alien commander watched his armada collapse in disbelief. Impossible, he whispered. They are only flesh. On the other side of the battle, the human captain watched quietly. Her crew worked without panic, without hesitation. They had done this before. They remembered the war. They remembered the fire. In minutes, the mighty fleet was gone. Wreckage floated silently, burning slowly as the void swallowed it. Only a handful of alien ships survived, fleeing back into the darkness. The humans did not chase them. They never chased. The battle was over. Back in the alien empire, silence filled the throne room. The ruler who had demanded war sat frozen, his pride shattered. His fleets were gone. His power broken. And across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. They tried. They failed. They woke the fire again. And in human space, nothing changed. Colonies still lived. Children still laughed. Ships still traveled the stars. Humanity did not boast of their victory. They did not shout their power. They simply returned to silence. But the silence was no longer just a warning. It was a reminder. The galaxy now remembered. Humans had not grown weaker with peace. They had grown stronger. And those who dared to test them would only vanish into the dark, leaving behind another story for the fearful to whisper. And yet, in the shadows of the galaxy, voices still stirred. There were always those who could not resist temptation. Those who thought they were stronger, smarter, faster. The silence of human space would not hold forever. And when it broke again, the galaxy would learn there were still truths hidden in the fire. Truths no one had dared to face. The galaxy had seen it again. Another empire had risen, shouted its pride, and fallen silent in human space. Their fleets were gone, their worlds broken, and their ruler left in shame. Whispers of the defeat spread across the stars like a storm. In hidden markets, smugglers spoke in hushed tones. They destroyed them in minutes, one said, eyes wide. Thousands of ships, gone like smoke. Others nodded, afraid to even breathe the word human too loudly. The silence around humanity had grown heavier than ever. But not everyone was satisfied with whispers. Some wanted truth. Some wanted to know what gave humans their power. Weapons and ships were not enough to explain it. Fleets of equal size had been defeated before. Shields could be broken, armies could be crushed. And yet, humanity never fell. On a ruined moon at the edge of the galaxy, an old alien general sat alone in his chamber. He had fought in the first war against humans, long ago. He was one of the few who had survived. His body was broken, his scars deep, but his memory sharp as blades. Young officers often came to him, begging for answers. "What are they?" they asked. "What makes them so dangerous?" He always gave the same reply. "It is not their weapons. It is not their ships. It is not even their numbers." He would lean forward then, his eyes dark. It is their will. Humans are the only species I have seen who refuse to die even when death surrounds them. The young never understood. They thought it was only words. But the general knew better. He remembered standing on a battlefield of fire, watching human soldiers charge with broken guns, bleeding and half dead, yet still advancing. He remembered entire alien legions fleeing, not because humans had greater strength, but because they could not face that relentless spirit. And he remembered something worse. When the humans were pushed past their limits, when they lost everything, something inside them changed. They became more. It was not rage, not madness, not even survival. It was a fire that burned in their eyes, a fire that spread to all around them. One human could turn a battle. 1,000 could end a war. The general had seen it. He had seen human soldiers rise again after being struck down, not because their bodies were strong, but because their will refused to break. He had seen them fight on when no hope remained, and in that hopelessness, they became unstoppable. That was the truth the galaxy feared. Not human ships, not human guns, but the human spirit. On Earth, no one spoke of it. To them, it was life, not legend. Children were raised with stories of struggle and survival, of ancestors who had endured storms, famine, and fire long before the stars. To humans, pain was not the end. It was the beginning. Back on the neutral station, an alien researcher who had studied humans for decades wrote in his final notes, "They are different because they do not fight for victory. They fight because surrender is impossible for them. They are not stronger than us. They simply refuse to stop. And that refusal makes them stronger than all." The notes were sealed, hidden away, but his last words spread. They became whispers in the galaxy's dark corners, fueling both fear and fascination. Meanwhile, human fleets patrolled the borders silently. They never explained themselves. They never boasted. They simply watched. Waiting. In the alien councils, a fearful elder finally admitted the truth aloud. "We cannot defeat them. Not with armies. Not with fire. Not with fear. Because fear itself is their fuel. And if we push them again, they will rise like before. They will rise higher than before." The chamber grew quiet. No one argued. And yet, in the shadows, some still plotted. Ambition never slept. They told themselves humans were only flesh, only bone, only mortal. They told themselves there must be a way. But the old general, sitting broken and scarred, knew better. He whispered into the dark, to no one but himself, "You cannot defeat a people who do not know how to surrender." His voice cracked, heavy with memory. That is humanity's true weapon. The galaxy had lived in fear for generations. Borders around human space glowed like fire, invisible yet untouchable. Whispers filled the void, stories of battles no one survived, of fleets vanishing into silence. And yet, ambition never truly died. A coalition of alien empires gathered in secret. Old rivalries were set aside, hatred buried. They had one goal: end humanity once and for all. No single empire had succeeded, but together, they believed they could. For months, they prepared. Fleets larger than stars were built. Weapons forged with new science, designed to pierce human shields. Armies of millions trained in endless drills. The galaxy had never seen such a force. When the day came, the coalition moved as one. Thousands of ships crossed the border of human space. The void lit with fire, weapons humming with deadly power. The commanders laughed, proud of their unity. "Let us see if their legends can stand against us now." But silence greeted them. No human fleet appeared. No defenses fired. The alien commanders frowned. Have they fled? Have they finally broken? Then the silence cracked. One by one, human ships appeared, not thousands, not even hundreds, but only a few. Black hulls scarred, their presence calm and cold. To the coalition, they looked like insects before giants. The commanders roared with laughter. This is their strength. This is humanity's power. A voice filled the comms. Human. Calm. Quiet. You should not have come. The alien fleets fired. A storm of light and death filled the void. Stars themselves seemed to shatter. But when the fire cleared, the human ships still stood. Silent. Watching. Then they answered. Their weapons did not roar with noise, but with precision. Every shot cut into the heart of the coalition. Great ships crumbled. Fleets broke apart. Panic spread like disease. Commanders screamed for order, but order could not stand against fear. The aliens had numbers. They had weapons. They had unity. But humans had something else. Something the galaxy had never learned to face. They refused to stop. The coalition expected surrender. None came. They expected fear. None came. The humans fought as if every ship was unbreakable, every soldier immortal, every breath eternal. In the chaos, an alien admiral stared at his screens in disbelief. "This is impossible," he whispered. "They should be dying." A human voice answered across the comms, cutting into his fear. "We do not fight for victory. We fight because surrender does not exist for us." And then the coalition broke. Ships fled. Armies abandoned positions. Worlds that had sent soldiers now begged for mercy. But humanity did not chase. They never chased. They returned to silence, leaving wreckage and whispers behind. In the aftermath, the galaxy changed forever. The coalition collapsed, its empires shattered by fear. Those who survived carried the memory of human fire in their minds, unable to forget. The councils of the oldest races met in trembling silence. They all agreed, never again. Never against humans. On Earth, life continued as always. Children played, markets buzzed, explorers dreamed. Humanity did not sing of victory. They did not boast of strength. They simply lived. But across the galaxy, the truth was finally understood. Humans were not feared because of their ships. Not because of their weapons. Not because of their armies. They were feared because of their will. A will that did not break. A will that did not surrender. A will that burned brighter than any star. And so, the galaxy fell silent once more. No one dared cross into human space. Not because of what humanity had done, but because of what they might do if tested again. The truth was clear. Humans were not monsters. They were not gods. They were something far more dangerous. They were human.